Well, welcome everybody to Money Talks, a nervous system reset. My name is Heather Boers, and I'm going to be your host today for today's conversation. I am an owner of two school communities. One is called Wilder Profits, and the other one is called the Directory on School. And today's conversation is actually a cross promotion event, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to the other amazing women who have helped bring this talk together and spread the word about this conversation. So, Amy Myers from Self-Worth Sisters and Faith Adebayo from Becoming 2026. So Amy and Faith, if you have your links to your communities available, if you can drop them into the chat so that people can check them out, that would be awesome. And if you're watching the replay, you're going to see the links underneath this video so that you can join the communities as well. Now, there's an actual reason, obviously, why we're here today, and it's because money is one of those topics that can make people suddenly just really go quiet, even though it impacts every part of our lives. And that's why today's guest is here. So I want to introduce Lisa Drennan, the founder of The Smell of Money, to you. She has a really powerful story, and this is what drew me into her about money and how it affects the nervous system. So the story that I heard was that at one point in her life, she had accumulated $100,000 worth of credit card debt. And I know that seems like a lot for a lot of us. And through the practices that she now teaches inside of her community, she was able to completely eliminate all of that debt in just 6 months. So I really wanted to bring her in because there's a whole dynamic going on here. And what makes her work so interesting is that she doesn't just talk about budgeting and numbers. And yes, those are important, but she explores the deeper connection between money and behavior and the nervous system and the intentional shifts that allow us to change who we are and how we actually experience money. So with that, I would love to hand it over to Lisa so that she can share more about her story and the work that she's doing inside The Smell of Money.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Thank you, Amy and Faith. I'm glad to be here with all of you ladies. Yeah, the $100,000 debt story. It started way before then. I became a single mom at 18, and being a single mom, if anybody's been there, you know what the struggle is. Trying to work, feed your kid, clothe them. I was a bankruptcy paralegal at the time, and my job was to create budgets for people after they filed for bankruptcy and teach them, listen, this is what you're going to do with your money. Very restrictive, very contained. And so when I ended up in $32,000 worth of credit card debt in the 90s, I felt so ashamed and embarrassed and thought, I know better. This is my job. How could I be in this position? And I got to the point where I ended up having to file for bankruptcy because one day I came home from work and cops were sitting in my driveway with a tow truck. And I was panicking, going, what the heck is going on? I've never gotten in trouble with the law. And they were about to hook up my car. Just got home from work. I haven't even, I'm taking my baby out of the car seat. And I'm like, what do you mean take my car? I've been making my car payments. What is going on here? One of my family members had, after I let them borrow money, after I co-signed for a loan that they were supposed to pay back, they never did. They took my information and forged my name on another loan and borrowed this money against my car, used my car as collateral, and defaulted on it. And I was shocked. I mean, even thinking about it, I have a pit in my stomach from it. And I told the tow truck, the cops, I'm like, no, we didn't have cell phones back then. I got my little, cordless phone out, pounded some numbers. I'm like, I'm filing charges. So needless to say, I was able to keep my car, thank God, because I needed to get to work, get my, income keep flowing in. And one of my mom actually bailed, it was my brother. My mom actually bailed him out so he didn't have to go to jail. But I had all this debt that I was responsible for, legally binding, except for that forged loan. I was able to get relief from that. But the loan that I had let him borrow was $30,000 plus my own debt. I just couldn't afford it. So I wiped it out with bankruptcy, stood in front of that judge, and the judge looked at me and he goes, you are way too young to be here. And he goes, I want you to promise me that you learn everything about finances that you can. I said, I will, I promise. So I took classes, I became a financial coach, I did everything I possibly could. Fast forward to the 40s, I lived on such a restrictive budget. I kept everything. I told myself because I wasn't able to be responsible with money, I had to take it away from myself. So who here, raise your hand if you remember the envelope system. I had envelopes. And I put all my money in envelopes. And then I was like, oh, I can't trust myself with the money in the envelopes. I might borrow from them because I grew up with the saying that we have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. So I contacted my bank and I said, I want to open up a bank account and I want bank accounts to represent each of these so I don't spend my money. So one of the women at the banks helped me to do that because back then you can only have like one checking account and a savings account. And then I created a chart and I followed it, kept everything good. And then when auto pay came, I just did everything on automatic. And I said, I set it and forget it. And I always felt like I wasn't making enough money. I was working full time. I had a nice income coming in from my job. I was working as a treasurer for a not-for-profit for two organizations. And additionally, I added a third. And then I was a door-to-door Avon rep. So I had all these multiple income streams coming in, and I still felt broke. And I thought, what the heck is wrong with me? Why don't I feel like I ever have any money? Couldn't get my hair done, my nails done. Everything went for my kids. So 40, I don't know, whoever is over 40, something happens to women at 40. We go through this crisis. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I went on strike. I stopped making dinner and all that. But I got literally addicted to 0% credit cards. I got an offer in the mail for my 17-year-old son at the time. And I thought, why is my kid getting a 0% credit card offer? He was getting ready to go off to college. So I was like, you know what? I want to see if I can get access to this. I still remember myself standing that day. I was smoked back then. I was smoking a cigarette, sitting at the side of my garage, reading this credit card offer, thinking, you know what? I'm going to try it. And I got it. It was $10,000. I was like, whoa, what am I going to do with 10 grand? That's so cool. I can just do whatever I want to do with it. It was such a dopamine hit. And this is what started the cycle. And I hid it from my husband, who we almost got divorced. He accused me of financial infidelity. And what happened was this one credit card offer turned into 12. And then I kept myself, okay, I'm just going to pay these off. I'm going to be done with this debt once and for all. But what I did is I would pay off like the first 3 to 5. And then I would get more 0%. So I would start the cycle over again until I maxed out. And when I maxed out, I remember sitting at my job, pounding on the keyboards at my lunch hour, trying to figure out how am I going to avoid paying interest or lower that interest? I don't want to pay 26% interest on these cards. Mind you, I had no clue how much I owed. I just knew I didn't want to pay all of this interest. So I contacted my credit union, got a consolidation loan, put my car as collateral with good faith that I was going to pay it back. And that loan was for $36,000. And I thought, okay, but guess what happened? I transferred $36,000 of that debt, more 0% credit cards offer because it's calculated differently. And guess who kept that cycle going for 10 whole years? Until one day I was like overeating, over drinking, overspending, and I thought there's something wrong with me. Like mentally, I'm sick. I have a problem. It's almost like a drug for me. And I knew I needed help, so I decided, guess what? I need more income. Let me start an online business. So I gave up the Avon rep job, got rid of all my faithful clients, and started selling Young Living essential oils. As part of the training, I got introduced to aromatherapy, and in 5 minutes with an aroma reset technique that combined Ho'oponopono practice, I broke a cycle of a negative comment that was conditioned from me from my ex that told me I wasn't good enough with money, that it would never amount to anything without him. Of course, this is when I was breaking up with him, right? And I thought, I've been holding on to this thought for so many years, and I let it go. And I was like, wow, if this stuff can do this, what else can it do? So I created a whole entire coaching business around it, but it was for post-abortion women because I was a post-abortion woman. 3 unplanned pregnancies prior to 17, 2 ended in abortion. So along that path, I found out I was so unworthy. I didn't deserve a good relationship. I didn't deserve to have money. I didn't deserve to do anything. But the clients kept pouring in, and the more clients I got, the more worse I felt about myself. So guess what I did? I racked up more debt. And finally, I connected with a marketing coach who said, you know what? I want you to start with the money module on mindset. What do I need that for? She said, just start there with your business. I said, okay, fine. I met a coach who did money mindset using art therapy and hypnosis. And immediately I had to get on the phone with her. Now at this point, I was following the Dave Ramsey, who knows about Dave Ramsey's Financial University. I was coaching it. I was following it. I'd been doing it for 7 years. And I cut up all my credit cards and saved them in this thing. I had a whole entire bottle that was like 7 inches tall and tiny bits of pieces filled with credit cards. This is how many credit cards I had. She wanted $8,000 to work with her. I go, what are you, crazy? 8 grand for 4 months. And I said, okay. She says, well, just take your time. You don't need to make a decision today. And that nagging, that what she did, she spent 2 hours with me on this call, and she brought me through this process of hypnosis and art therapy. And I had a shift. And the shift was, I don't need credit cards to be happy. And I thought, why am I thinking that? So I knew 75% of my credit cards are paid off. I had like 20,000 to go. I still didn't know how much I owed. All I know is that I was paying them. I wasn't using them. I was calling up the credit card companies, canceling them out. They were saying, oh no, don't cancel it. We'll give you more offers. And they were tempting me. But I was following Financial Peace University. I'm sticking to my guns. So here I am thinking 2 weeks after I had this call with this woman, you know what? This one credit card has a $25,000 limit. I took the credit cards out of this glass bottle, tiny little pieces cut up, and I knew the credit card was green. Green is the color for money. I found all the green pieces and pieced them together to find the number and the code to pay for it. It still makes my throat feel like I'm choking to death. It took weeks to do this. It took so much time. And I tried calling the credit card company to see if they'd give me the number, and they wouldn't, no, no. They said I could report it as lost. No, 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 no. All these thoughts were going through my head. And I thought, yes, I'm definitely crazy. Here I am going to invest $8,000, and I am so close to paying off my debt. And I'm crazy to rack this up. But I did. And we started working together, and we tackled my money story. I wrote out my whole entire money story from my earliest memory. And the coolest thing about this was I was I was in a class that I'm now facilitating called the Healing Journey. And we do the same thing with broken relationships and past mistakes that we've done with other parts of our lives. And it was kind of like the same journey. Writing my old money story was kind of like writing my story about all the trauma that I dealt with the narcissist, gaslighters, controlling families, all that stuff. And I thought, okay, wow, there's something into this, right? Well, once I wrote the old money story, it took me like a good 3 months. I only had a month left with this coach. I thought, Matt, I paid $8,000 to rewrite my story. I'm doing it for free over here. Like, how dumb am I to invest this kind of money? Well, the final month, I wrote my new story. And once I wrote my new story, it was like 12 pages long. I read it, recorded it, and listened to it several times. And then she showed me through art and mapped out what I spent my debt on. I thought I blew it. I thought I spent it on frivolous things. And when I drew it out in pictures, and I'm not a painter, I saw that physical picture of all the wonderful things I did with my debt. And then I realized, wow, I'm not irresponsible. I'm really good with money. And the next thing we did is she had me pull up my finances, my assets. And I'm like, I'm not showing you my assets. That's private. She wasn't a money coach. She was a money mindset coach, And I thought, I'm not showing you to him. She says, you don't have to show them to me. She goes, I just want to show you what your net value is. And, if you're comfortable, there's no judgment, what have you. I'm like, you're not going to share it with anybody? Like, I was very nervous about that. So I shared it with her, and she's like, okay, add up your assets, add up your debt. What's your net value? And I was shocked. I was like, wow. I was a multimillionaire, and I had no clue that I had saved all that money from the time I was 22 years old until the time of that moment, because I remember I took it all away from me. I set it and forget it. And I had no clue. She was, when you pay off all of your debt, you can use that money and you can invest it. You could do whatever you want. Paying $8,000 for a coach isn't going to make a difference. It's all about how you think about your money. You have the systems in place, but your thoughts towards money stuck. You have stinking thinking. She says, and until you continue to do this work on the daily, you're going to go back, because we like our patterns. We like our comfort. We like being victims. So you have a choice, be a victim or not. And that was my final call with her. And I thought, oh, I can get out of victimhood? Wait a minute. I have a tool, aromatherapy. How do I help myself to get through this? So I implemented a plan. I created a thing called the money multiplier system. And I purposely and intentionally took all of my extra income and I applied it to my debt. And then an offer came up where I could retire from my career 2.5 years early. And I thought, wow, I can retire and do something different. And I was scared again. And I thought, okay, aromatherapy, money multiplier system. Can I do this? I just paid off my debt. I just celebrated paying off that $100,000 worth of debt. I was working 3 part-time jobs, plus full-time, plus overtime. So all of my money from overtime, all of my money from side gigs went to it. And I thought, you know what? I haven't enjoyed my money at all. I want to have some fun. So Dave Ramsey's daughter had a challenge, a $20 challenge that said, you want to enjoy your money? Have some fun money. You don't want to take 10% of your money? Do $20. So I took $20 and I thought, what do I want to buy? A pair of black jeans. I didn't have any. Didn't need them, but I wanted them. I'm like, where can I get a $20 pair of jeans? TJ Maxx. I went, found 5 pair, down to 2, bought one, was $13.28, had enough money to buy a necklace. I thought, this is the best $20 I've ever spent. So I incorporated that as part of the money multiplier system, saying you have to have fun money. The way you think about money is if you're always restrictive, you're never going to have fun. You're just going to keep chasing it. So that's, in a nutshell, how we process the thought process. We look at our old money story and we ask ourselves, is this really true? Because our thoughts are the most powerful tool we have. If you think it's a head, the thoughts come in, they create the feeling in the heart. Our hands take action, and that gets the result that we want. But so many women are stuck because they don't connect it and they never take the action to get the results because they're over here in victim mode thinking, I'm not worthy. Somebody told you somewhere along the line that you weren't worthy. And that's why the aromatherapy combined with this money multiplier system helps you become a multimillionaire, because you're giving your dollar a job in a way that's aligned with your core values, in a way that's congruent with how you want your life to be, combined with your thoughts, combined with those actions. You get to create a customized spending plan. So you never have to question where your money is going. You never have to depend on credit cards to pay for anything unless you want to leverage debt, which is another conversation. So I feel like I should ask anybody if they have any questions. And if not, I want to do an aromatherapy session with you all if you're all ready for that. But I have a feeling somebody has a question.
Or we can get started with the aromatherapy. I don't know if everybody has an essential oil with them or some kind of scent that they love.
Yeah, so we'll start with the aromatherapy. Whoever had the question, just put it in the chat because I'm really curious what your question was. How do I know that? I don't know. I just know. There's just a very strong feeling that I get when somebody wants to say something. It interrupts my thought pattern. Essential oils. Young Living is my go-to brand. doTERRA is very good. I know Revive. There's a bunch of others, a brand from Switzerland. Whatever essential oils you have that you're drawn to. Grounding oils work really well. If you are driving, don't close your eyes. You can connect with the energy of the oil. You can grab a scented candle, a scented tea bag, coffee beans, or a citrus fruit and just kind of peel it back. This is very powerful to do at any time. And you can do this, like a lot of times we do it, we close our eyes, we breathe in, but you can actually, I'm going to introduce you to the Ho'oponopono practice. Is everybody familiar with Ho'oponopono? I know some people can't respond, so I'm just going to explain it. It's a Hawaiian reconciliation practice. Very simple. You can say this wherever. It completely changes the energy, the negative energy of a room, of a person. They don't even have to be in your presence. You could just think of their name and say it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. When I was first introduced this with an aroma reset, I was so confused because I had never heard those phrases. We're in the middle, and I never had been introduced to aromatherapy. We're in the middle of this, and the woman says, okay, now say these words. And I'm like, who am I saying this to? And then afterwards, when I got the release, I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I have to go learn more. And that's how I became a certified aromatherapy practitioner. It is the most powerful tool, in my opinion, to help release anything that's stuck in our subconscious that keeps us going in a rut, that keeps us on a roller coaster, that keeps us saying that we need to pay credit, we need to use credit cards to pay debt, that we don't have enough money, that I can't afford that. And in my Wealth Accelerator program, this is one of the practices. It's a non-negotiable to do an aroma reset with Ho'oponopono every single day, because that reconditions your mind to help you get a new path, a new money story. All right, so who's ready? If you can type in the chat, I want you to think of a situation that's really on your mind. It's keeping you up at night. It's causing anxiety and worry. And as soon as you have it, just say, I got it. Just type in the chat that you got it. Yes, Faith. A situation that is really keeping you full of anxiety. It's a thought that you're having repeatedly. Maybe it's keeping you up at night. It's really been on your mind and heart and raises the cortisol levels. If it could be money related if you want it to be. This is money talk, so I was talking to, I'm an affiliate for a program called Money Max, and I was talking to the agent that I refer to, and he is a brain doctor where he helps people with holistic healing. And we were saying that if you have money problems, you have health problems. If you have health problems, we most likely can relate it to a money problem. And during that whole time that I was carrying that debt, I had very strong bronchial asthma. I would get repeated laryngitis. I had a constant hip pain in my right hip, and I had lower back pain that was unbearable. I was seeing a chiropractor, acupuncturist, going for massage, and nothing relieved it until I started using aromatherapy. Okay, so what we're going to do, you got your situation. I want you to just think about it. As you think about it, receive the thoughts. Notice where in your body you're feeling these thoughts. It could be multiple places, could be in your cheeks, your hands, your stomach, your back, your neck. There's no right or wrong answer. It could be in multiple places. If you could describe that feeling in your body with one word, what would that one word feeling be? And I know as ladies, we get caught up in our feelings. We don't really know how to express our emotions. So I'm just going to share some feelings with you. Dissatisfied, frustrated, sad, annoyed, abandoned, loathsome, aggravated, irritable. Good. Marianne says disappointed. If you feel more than one feeling, whatever feeling is the strongest, check in with yourself, check in with your intuition. That's the right one. Don't question it, just go with it. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, and put this in the chat, how intense is that emotion that you're feeling in your body? 10 being completely intense, 1 being it's not bothering me at all. If you're below a 5, it's not the right one. Do it again. Go deeper into your subconscious. Really ask yourself, close your eyes, take a cleansing breath, breathe through your nose. Hold your breath for the count of 3 and slowly exhale. Repeat that and just ask yourself, what are the thoughts, the anxiety that's creating this blocker for me? What's that feeling? Where do I feel it? How intense is it? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, the highest, 1 being doesn't bother you at all. Anything below a 5, it's not the right one. And that's okay. A lot of times we connect with something and we're so afraid to go deeper. I know I was there. First time I did this, I was like, I'm not going deeper. Forget you. I'll just do surface level work because it's painful and we don't like pain. We run away from it. But today we're going to embrace it because we want a new path. We want a new direction. All right. Now I want you to think of a time when you felt the same exact way. And as soon as you got it, just put it in the chat, got it. So a memory of when you felt the same exact way. Okay, good. Now grab a grounding oil. I'm going to be using Release. Again, if you don't have an oil, just connect with the energy of it. Earth tone oils, any oils that come from trees are very powerful. Frankincense, cedarwood. So if you want to connect with the energy of one of those oils, if you don't have an oil, what you're going to do is just drop that in the palm of your hand, rub your hands together, and you're just going to make a sentence. You're just going to place your hands in front of your nose, wherever is comfortable as far as distance. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. You're going to continue that breathing pattern. You're going to connect that essential oil with that feeling in the body, with the intensity of that feeling. You're going to focus on that past experience of when you felt that way before. And as you connect with that past experience, just notice what happens. Maybe you'll get an image. If you do, focus on that image. If you don't, just focus on the thoughts. Continue to breathe into it. Notice what comes up for you. Notice whether the emotion gets more intense. Allow that emotion to be fully seen, fully felt. Lean into it. If you have an image, notice what happens to that image. It could turn into a movie or a book. Maybe the images pop in and out, or you get a new image, a new thought altogether. Whatever happens, just keep breathing into it. Now, connecting with that emotion. Imagine that emotion as a person. That person is standing in front of you. Notice what they look like, how they smell, what they're wearing, who they remind you of. And just look that emotion in the eyes and just say thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for watching out for me. I got this now. I am sovereign. I am capable. I am worthy. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold your breath for the count of 3. Slowly exhale through your mouth. Repeat, breathing in through your nose. Hold your breath. On the exhale, look that emotion into the eyes and just say, I'm sorry. Big breath in through your nose. Hold your breath. On the exhale, just say, please forgive me. Big breath in. Hold your breath for the count of 3. On the exhale, say thank you. Big breath in through your nose. Hold your breath for the count of 3. On the exhale, say, I love you. When you're ready, open your eyes, and in the chat, share your first number and how you feel now, the intensity of that emotion on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense, 1 being hardly intense at all. What's your new number? 1, lots of yawning. I love that. Yawning is good. Your body's releasing all of that tension and everything that you've been holding on to. It's releasing all of that. I was at a 5 and now at a 2. Excellent. Fantastic. 5 to 2. Good. 8 to 4. Fantastic. Would someone like to share their experience? What came up for them? If you had tears, that's your body cleansing itself of everything that you've been holding on to. You know how we always stifle up our tears. We don't want to cry. I always want to cry at the worst times. Right after I get my makeup done, I'm on the way out the door. It's like, no, I don't want to cry right now. But every time we stifle back those tears, our body fights it and it comes up at the most inconvenient times. And what's really powerful about this aromatherapy session is that it helps your body release all that tension, especially if you have tension in your neck, your jaw, your shoulders. That's your body telling you that you're carrying a lot of weight. Your shoulders are, you should have. You're telling yourself, I should have. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have. You're always beating yourself up. And if you think about it, especially as a parent, the way we talk to ourselves is the way we would never talk to our kids. We would never put that much pressure on them. So why do we put that much pressure on ourselves? Yeah. So Faith says she felt really tired. Yeah. Your body is just because it's finally getting to calm down and relax. lowering her cortisol levels. Mary Heather says she felt a release in her neck and it actually popped. Yeah. So holding on to something and releasing that pain, breathing into it. The power of breath combined with the smell and the thoughts is really super powerful to help your body, the nervous system calm down so that you can make sound decisions. Heather said she felt sick to her stomach, but it passed. So something that you're holding on to that's just really that you're being challenged by, kind of like being on a roller coaster where you're getting thrown around and it's up and down and there's no certainty, there's no safety. So releasing that, allowing it to be felt so it can pass. So I encourage you to do this practice. Just even if you do the Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Sitting down with your emotion. Every single time you feel an emotion, go to the bathroom, excuse yourself. I went to the bathroom a lot when I first started doing this because knew the importance of processing the emotion when it came so that I didn't blow up because I'm a stuffer and an exploder. So I didn't blow up later. You can literally just picture yourself looking at that emotion as a person and then just going through that process. That emotion is protecting you from something that you have experienced in your past that's dictating how you're managing your money, how you're dealing with your relationships. The fear that you have is coming from someplace something that happened to you in the past. And I was just thinking the other day I experienced something and I used the word scumbag. And I'm thinking, where did that word come from? Well, I had a brother that was schizophrenia, bipolar. He passed away a few years ago. But every time when he wasn't on meds, he was very explosive and angry, and he used to call everybody a scumbag. That was the word like in the 70s. And I haven't heard or used that word in years. And here I was flipping out, like having a temper tantrum, calling somebody a scumbag. And when I calmed down, I was just like doing these breathing exercises. I grabbed my oils, I went, and I'm like, okay, let me go sit with all of my emotions. I was just angry and frustrated, and I felt betrayed and abandoned and all this stuff. And of course, AI knows. So I'm flipping through Facebook and I get this little app thing about childhood trauma. And I can't remember the word. It was like Libya or something like that. But there's actually a thing that we get up all this stuff from our childhood and use it in adulthood. And I'm like, I wasn't even aware of it. So we're multifaceted creatures. Our human minds are just so fascinating and multifaceted with these emotions. And we get so good, especially as moms, hiding all of our emotions and taking care of everybody else's needs, being a people pleaser. How many people pleasers in the room? Raise your hand. Big time people pleaser. I like to say I'm a former people pleaser, but it still haunts me, and I have to, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not an alignment. Establish those healthy boundaries. All right, well, I've done enough talking. So, does anybody have any questions? Mary Heather says she loves to people please too. Do you really love it? I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to be loved. I don't know if I really loved it. Yeah, the people you love.
I thought that exercise was really, I'll share a little bit more. So I felt it in my stomach, and the original word that came up was disgust. And it led back to a memory that I'm not going to divulge into, but it was something where I have been disgusted by myself for allowing this thing to happen. And when I look back, when I was sitting with it and I was breathing into it, I realized that in that moment, I actually felt powerful. And that's exactly how it ties to the money, because in that moment, I feel like I'm powerful and in control, and only to realize that I'm not. So it was kind of and that's where, like, all of a sudden, when I had that, when you asked for us to have the person that is represented come forward, that's when I felt sick to my stomach. And so then I went through and I did the whole rest of the process, and it was just interesting to feel that energy, how it was building, and then all of a sudden it just subsided.
Yeah, powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, if we don't have questions, I would encourage you to share in either the chat or come off and give us a little idea of what was one of the things that you found the most interesting about either the exercise or any of the commentary with what Lisa has been bringing to the table and telling us about.
I know we're having money conversations. It's scary.
This is where we all go quiet.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask that question. I might sound stupid. There is no stupid question. A lot of people ask me questions about financial literacy and, what to do about investing and things of that nature. So a lot of times when I do these workshops, I share a very simple method to manage your money. I usually gear it towards business entrepreneurs. Is everybody an entrepreneur here? Yes, I'm guessing they are.
I believe so.
So one of the first things you want to do when you're starting off, this is the very first thing. A lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs do not treat their business like a business. They treat it like a hobby. And what I mean by that is that they do not set up their financial foundation. The most important thing that you need to do is to set up your financial foundation. You need to open up a business checking account. If you don't have an EIN, you're not established as an LLC. You're just, self-employed. Maybe you just started your business. You're still waiting for income to come in. You won't be able to open up a traditional business checking account, but you can earmark a personal checking account as your business account, because the number one rule is to keep your business separate from your personal. That is the number one rule in financing and businesses. If you are a CEO, you are the CEO of your company. And you might not know that because you just started this hobby and thought, oh, I want to make money. Or you might think I have multiple income streams, therefore it doesn't matter. And you get confused because what do I do with all this money coming in when I really need it to pay my bills? That thought process is going to keep you poor. So who wants to be poor? Said no one ever. When you think about it, yeah, Relay. So you're familiar with Profit First if you have Relay, yes? I didn't like Relay. I broke up with them right away. I use Novo. I have an affiliate link with Novo. I absolutely love them. They have the reserves. They're super friendly. They offer business credit if you need it once you establish a relationship with them, but their systems are just phenomenal. They're on top of everything. And if anyone's interested, I can share my referral link. When you use my referral link, you get $40 and I get $40 once you hit $200 in the account. So what happens is when you open up this business account, if you do it with the bank like Relay or Novo, it automatically sets up reserves and you decide how much money is going where. You always, always, always know this is non-negotiable. You always pay yourself first. I don't care if you make $1. I have 2 books published. My first book, Forgiving the Girl Inside, Finding Balance, Freedom, and Fun in Your Life. I sell that. I never advertise it. I used to when I first introduced it. I get 52 cents when someone buys it. That's business income. I treat that like business income. It goes into my business account and it gets allocated according to the percentages that I have set up. The percentages that you're going to have set up are going to be dependent about how much you need for your salary. So you think, I pay myself first. Most businesses that earn less than $250,000 in gross receipts pay themselves 50%. It's all done on percentages, especially if you have your regular income, because it doesn't matter. It's a percentage. So 50% automatically goes to you first. Then you need to pay big old tax man. Taxes got to get paid. So depending on your income situation, the rule of thumb is 15% gets set aside for taxes. And then we want to give ourselves a profit, because as the CEO, you're the CFO, you're the sales department, the marketing department. You're doing all the things as a solopreneur. Maybe you have a team, maybe you have a VA. You're still doing most of the things. You're directing everything. You deserve profit. Most companies give a bonus every March. Here we are in March. You get a percentage of the sales of your gross sales. So the rule of thumb, minimum is 5% profit. Now, a lot of the ladies in the Wealth Accelerator won't start off with 5% because they haven't gone through the mindset change of I am worthy to receive. I need this money for elsewhere. They're still stuck in that old mindset and they're still trying to finagle their finances. They don't allocate that profit right away, but that's the rule of thumb. And then the balance, the percentage that's left over, goes for your operating expenses. So, if you have 30% operating expenses and you're completely online and the only tools that you need are Canva and Zoom, you're not going to need 30% of your gross receipts for operating expenses. So guess what? You can boost your salary, you can boost your profit. If you don't have an account like Relay or Novo that sets it up, Ally Bank is a great bank that offers personal checking and savings that has the reserve accounts. Again, it's separate. All of your business income goes into that account. I don't care if you get cash. I don't care if it comes from Venmo or PayPal. I have a client that keeps redirecting. She'll split her funds. She thinks in her mind, well, they pay me through PayPal. I know 50% is my salary, so I'm just going to take 50%. No. That's not how it works. You don't do the math before it hits the account. You make it hit the account, because if you were running a company for somebody and you did that, you would be called a thief. You would be fired for stealing from the company because you didn't document it properly. I was a treasurer for 3 not-for-profits. One of those not-for-profits was a union, AFGE, a national union. I went to Washington to get trained to be a proper treasurer, to document everything, to know what kind of paperwork to keep. This applies to all businesses, whether you're a profit or not for profit. When you implement this system, you will always have money. You will always have money for exactly what you need to do to run your business and then to run your personal finances. When you take that 50% and you pay yourself into your personal account, you implement the money multiplier system. 10% for fun. You guys have to enjoy your money. Stop treating yourselves like you don't deserve it and start treating yourselves like the queen that you are. Queens get to have fun. They get to do things. And until you can treat yourself and respect yourself, nobody else is going to. 10% goes to savings. You want to be wealthy, you want to invest, but yet you won't set aside any money for it. You think 10% is too much. Rethink it. Your stinking thinking is keeping you from becoming wealthy. And then 10% goes for giving, because it's the law. The more you give, the more you receive. There are so many people that you can give to. I had a client, she just wanted to give to her kids. She was, is that considered giving? I said, no. And her kids were adults. Her youngest was 22 and her oldest was like 26. You do not need to give to your children, okay? Give to a charity that you love, that you support, that helps you with something. And 30% of your income might sound like a lot of money, but this is Parkinson's law. When you allocate your money for these 3 things first, everything else gets paid. You end up living with the amount of money that you have allocated for your needs and wants. Your brain automatically just adjusts. Try it. Prove me wrong. No one has yet. I've been in finances and insurance since 1987. In 1993, one of my clients came in. I retired from the Social Security Administration. I used to help people set up their retirement accounts, process their benefits, and all that great stuff. He comes in, we're looking at his retirement benefits, we're going over the numbers, and he's like, wow. He goes, I want to ask you something. Because, do you like to read? I go, yeah. Because if I had this book when I was your age, I would be a billionaire. Because my son introduced it to me 3 years ago, and I see this retirement number and I think this isn't enough to live on. But then I know better because I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. The book is The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a simple read. It's a very old book, but the principles are the same. And I swear all the other books that are written about money were this format. And it's all about taking 10% and saving it to invest, paying yourself first, and then you automatically adjust it and live on whatever's left over. In my community, The Smell of Money, we do a money awareness challenge. Everybody that goes through that finds at least $500. They think about cutting back subscriptions. You don't cut back subscriptions because you're trying to save money. You cut them back because you're not using them. So you get into these practices, same thing like in your business when you're looking at your operating expenses. Do you really need it? My client and I have a mentorship 1-to-1, and we were going through her quarterly expenses and setting up her year for 2026. She had all this software that she was not using. She's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. Da, da, da. She cut out over $1,000 of software that she was paying. It adds up. When I joined school, I got hit up with so much AI stuff, and I stopped them thinking, I don't, one, do I need all this AI? And two, this is going to cost a fortune. $7 a month adds up. And you don't think anything of it because at the time it's only $7. But if it's not going to help you with your ultimate goal, it's not going to help you, period. It's just a shiny object that's deterring you from your goal. This is also the #1 rule in your business with your mindset. Know your numbers. Know what you want to make and then reverse engineer it and go make it. And yes, it's that easy. I should say it's that simple. It's not easy, but it's that simple. It's just a matter of the way that we think about it and what our goals truly are. And we are our worst enemy. We get in our own way. We are the only reason why we haven't accomplished the goals that we want to accomplish. So kick yourself out of the way and start doing this. I'm done now. I get a little bit passionate.
I love it. I love it. I've got one question for you because I know on the last call that I was on with you, it was probably the question that I was too afraid to ask at that point. And that was for someone like myself who is drowning in credit card debt, where you don't feel like you can implement these systems. And what you're just trying to do is just tread water, like just get a just get your head above water for a little bit. What would be the first thing that you would implement?
This money multiplier system for both your business and your personal, because that's going to help you to stop tread water. If you truly want to stop treading water, it's not logical. We're trying to think of it logical. When this was first introduced to me, I was just like, it doesn't make sense. Especially after living on a restricted budget for so many years and literally just paying the bills. But I made sure savings and investing was one of my bills. When you reallocate it, it works. You trying to think about it right now and saying, well, this isn't going to work because I know what I have to do and you have no clue. I have a clue. Once you start implementing this system, you build up that rhythm, you start to see the flow. But the thing about it is what happens with people, and this is where this is where a mentor like myself is helpful. You get into this thing where you start saving that money. Oh, and I feel short this month. I'm going to go borrow that money. Where that old story, I'm going to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. So all of a sudden you're going to your savings and you're using your savings to pay something and now you feel broke again. So continuing that pattern and reconditioning, getting that support to recondition yourself is the key to making this work. We can have the systems, but if we don't have the money story in alignment with our systems, we end up going back. It might work for a couple of months, but because we think I'm drowning in debt, this still plays in my mind every single day. I need to use a credit card to have fun. No, you know what I did? I went out and got a Fidelity checking account that looks like a credit card. I put all my fun money on it. It earns 1% interest. There's no fees or anything associated with it. It's my favorite, and it's green. My favorite card. And so when I get the temptation to swipe, I know I'm being reconditioned, I'm going back into the past. I get my little green Fidelity credit card out and I use that. And that gives me my dopamine hit because I'm addicted to 0% credit cards. I want that dopamine hit. It empowers me. I think it's fun to play with other people's money, but there's a danger line because I could very easily rack up 100 grand a debt again. But every day I have to work at it. I have to use my aromatherapy. I have to use my tools because we're creatures of habit and we're always going to go back to that old way. So instead of saying to yourself, I need to tread water and put my head above water, I'm going to implement this system because it's going to work. And I know it because this is what I need and I just need it to work. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, that's a new thought. Savings and investing are bills. Absolutely. Make it a bill. You're your best asset. If you don't pay yourself first, no one's going to take care of you except for you. And it's fun. You get a dopamine hit watching your money grow. I get a big kick when I share my Novo referral link. I get 40 bucks. I'm like, yes, someone's following the system. We each got 40 bucks. That's awesome. Yesterday I got $30 for filling out a survey. Cool. I went on Amazon and bought whatever I wanted to. It was fantastic. I wanted those Japanese buoys. You ever see those? They're beautiful. They're like blue and they got the fish, the Japanese fishermen used to use them, hang them off the side of their boat. I bought this basket and I decorated it on Pinterest and I was looking at the Pinterest challenge. I was like going through my Pinterest board. I was like, wow. And I bought this basket for $5 with my daughter at a yard sale. And I didn't really know what to do with it. She says, oh, Mom, and she sent me all these ideas on Pinterest. And then I went through my mood board and I was like, oh my God, look, this is what I have. I'm filling my basket with these Japanese buoys. So I bought 2 of them yesterday. I was very excited. That was a great dopamine hit.
Why don't you tell the girls a little bit more about your community and what they can expect if they go and check it out? And I can drop your link again.
Sounds good. Yeah. So the smell of money, it's all about money awareness using aromatherapy. There's a money awareness challenge that we do for 7 days. And each day it's a tiny little micro step to help you be aware of how you're spending your money. There's wealth activations in the classroom where you can do aromatherapy. You can start writing your old money story and writing the new one. But we really just focus on the story that we're telling ourselves so that we can rewrite it and change the way that we manage our money.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you so much for bringing this to the table and just being here to open up that conversation because it is funny. I mean, you and I both made a couple of posts out there about how everybody does go quiet when we start talking about money. And there's definitely some emotions tied to that. And then I really feel like when you and I spoke before, it was first you have to understand the emotions that are tied to it before you can start working through the debts and creating better money habits. So thank you for being here for that. Thank you, Amy and Faith, for also sharing it with your communities and opening those communities up so that this conversation can take place as well. And for everybody else that is here, thank you for joining us. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.